Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Or this morning? It is 5:28 a.m. And I have two twin darling Jolene Joes kicking on either side of my head this morning because I have been deep asleep. I basically did nothing on Sunday except for sleep. I don't know if I just needed to catch up on my sleep or what was going on, but I was so tired all day Sunday. We had to wake up to go to, when we woke up, we had to go to Alex's aunt's house because his uncle was cooking out for everybody. And then we were doing it wasn't a photo shoot, it was literally 10 minutes of pictures, but we all had matching shirts, kind of matching shirts on, not really. His uncle and I had the same polo shirt on, and then Alex and his brother, they had the same t-shirt they were all from Old Navy. And then all of the women had on these matching shirts that were striped. It was fun, it was fine. I just was so exhausted yesterday. We had to be there at 1 o'clock, and I woke up and I told Alex, I said, I am so tired. And I had gotten a full night's sleep the night before I went to bed. I didn't go to bed too late. And I got 8 hours of sleep. And I told Alex yesterday when I woke up, I said, I'm so tired. And he was like, well, what's wrong? I said, I don't know. I said, maybe I'm just we've been doing some stuff this weekend and I'm just not used to it. I just, I realized yesterday that I just don't do a whole lot of anything. I'm basically at home with the dogs, and I, maybe see Tanya a couple times a week. I don't really do a whole lot of anything. It is cold outside. It is 44 degrees right now. I have my water, but I'm awake right now, which is so funny because I woke up finally. I was having the weirdest dreams last night too, and they were kind of I wouldn't say scary dreams, but they were they just were really weird dreams. This last dream that I had, I don't know who I was with. I want to say it was Alex, but I feel like it wasn't Alex. And we were roller skating, but on top of a lake. But it was we were ice skating, it was frozen, but the lake wasn't frozen. Does that make sense? It was everybody was roller skating on top of the water, but nobody had roller skates on. They were just doing all these roller skate things. I think I'm really ready to get into my roller skates. I just think that we've been kind of going all weekend, and Friday, even though Alex wasn't there, I was kind of doing stuff late around the house. And then I crashed and fell asleep really early. Well, Thursday night we were over at his mom's house, his brother's house, visiting his aunt. And then Friday, I got all kinds of stuff done. And then I went to bed 11:45 on Friday and slept straight through the night, and then woke up at 10 o'clock yesterday. No, Saturday. I woke up at 10 o'clock and then was up all day. And I didn't even really realize this until I was why am I so tired? I've been getting a lot of sleep. But I think I went to bed, I came home after listening to my audiobook for a little bit, and I was rendering the vlog, and I stayed up till 3-ish. 3 or 3:30. So I got and then went to bed and got up on Sunday, and I got 8.5, 9 hours of sleep. But I had been up for 18 hours. And I'm just not I usually take a nap throughout the day. And I just think it caught up with me over this weekend. So I got up on Sunday and I told, because Alex is like, you wanted to take a shower and stuff before we go over there. And I said, yeah. I said, he was in the bathroom getting ready, and I said, can you turn the shower on for me? So I got in the shower and I was like half asleep in the shower. And I'm gonna turn this way. So I was like half asleep in the shower, and then I got out and I got dressed, and I was like, just like walking in my sleep kind of thing, getting ready, you know? And then we went over to his aunt and uncle's house. We were like the first ones to get there. So we were just sitting there talking to his uncle had put up all of his Halloween stuff. So we were looking at all of that and sitting there, and his grandma was in the kitchen having a cup of coffee, and his uncle had put out this whole fruit like tray. It was really nice. His uncle likes to cook. So he'd put out like this whole like fruit thing. It was really, really nice. He had like blackberries and melon and watermelon, and it was just really nice little spread. And these potato chips from this like Broad Ripple potato chip company here. They're like the best potato chips in the world. But anyway, and then I had a cup of coffee, and I was sitting on the couch, and I was just like so comfortable sitting on this couch, like talking to them. I was like falling asleep. I said, Alex, I'm so tired. I don't know what is wrong. And so then everybody showed up, and we were hanging out talking, and they started cooking out. I could have fallen asleep on the couch. I could, like, literally, I was having such a hard time staying awake. And so it was like 4 o'clock, and we hadn't taken like any pictures or anything yet. And I looked at Alex, and he was like sitting across from me, and I was like, babe, I said, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna make it. Like, he was like, talk to my mom. And so his mom came in, and I was like, I really want to take the pictures and stuff, but I'm really tired. She's like, well, we can take them now. So we went outside and we took the pictures, and it was really fun. And they like brought the balloons from down, like they had saved the balloons from his grandma's 90th birthday, and so like they brought him outside, and it was so funny because like Alex and like his aunts and like Liliana were like trying to hold, and his mom were like trying to hold these balloons over their head, and it was so funny. And but we had a good time. But after the pictures, I said, I'm going home. I said, I've got to lay down for a little bit. And so I got home. Oh, I called Tanya on the way home. I got home about 5:30. And I took the dogs out. And then I laid down until Alex got home, which was like, my alarm went off, and then he came home right after that, because I set my alarm for, I think, 7:30. No, I laid down at like, I got home at like right after 5, because it was like, I set my alarm for 2 hours, and it was like, I set it for like 7:08 p.m. I don't know how I can always remember the exact times I set alarms, but I do. And so he came home just a little bit after that, and I got up, and he was, what was he watching downstairs? I can't remember when I went down there. I was watching the Kardashians. Some stupid prank that Chloe and Scott had. I feel like the show's kind of run out of ideas. Like, they're always like doing all these pranks and stuff now. I don't know. But anyway, I was watching that with him. But I was like sitting there, and I had some hummus. Because I didn't really eat a lot at the barbecue, because I like made like they cooked out hamburgers, and I was gonna bring over these Beyond Meat burgers that I have, and I forgot. So I just basically made a sandwich with mayonnaise on a hamburger bun. I had a hamburger bun, mayonnaise, lettuce. Did I put lettuce on it? I think so. Tomato, onion, and there was potato salad too. So I was having some hummus, and then I ate a little bit of ice cream. And I was just like sitting there, and I was like half asleep, sitting there on the couch. And Alex is like, are you still tired? I said, I literally could go upstairs and go to sleep right now. He was like, are you serious? And I said, yeah, I don't know what's wrong. I mean, like, and there are some Sundays, you know, that he'll go to bed at like we'll come home from brunch and he'll go to bed and he sleeps till the next day. So I don't know why it's such a big deal. But I was like, I don't know what is wrong. I'm so tired. And it just was like, our house was so cozy too. Like, it was so like warm and cozy. I think that was part of it. And it smelled like potpourri, and I don't know, I just, like, the dogs were being very sweet. It just was a cozy Sunday, you know? And, so, like, he got up, and I said, are you going to bed? He goes, yeah, I'm gonna go to bed. He was like, I have to get up tomorrow morning. And I said, okay. I don't know what time that was. We had sat there for a while. He got sent, somebody asked me this not too long ago, like, food stuff, like, food, somebody was like, what food services do you like that you're sent? Like, you remember when I ordered that Farmer's Fridge stuff? Well, Alex was sent this stuff, like, to, like, take pictures of and put on his Instagram. I don't know what the brand is. I think it's, like, Harvest something. All the stuff came, like, when he was at work one day, and I had to put it all in the freezer. It's really, really good. Like, there were these bowls that you put in the microwave that are like, one was like a chili he made, and I tried some of that, and they're really healthy, and it was really, really good. And then he had some ice cream last night. They sent him like 4 things of ice cream, and so he was having some of that, and that was really good. I look a hot mess. Look at this. Hot Mess Express. God. You should see the bags under my eyes. They were so bad. Look at this. Can you guys see? I mean, it is bad. So he went upstairs to bed, and that was at like 10. And he goes, "Are you going to bed again?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm tired." I said, "I need to go to sleep for a little bit." He said, "Okay." So we were laying there in bed talking for a little bit. Boo Radley and Tucker were being so cute. And I fell asleep. I set my alarm for like 11 something. It was like right at 10, and I set it for like 11:30 or something. I don't know why I set these alarms. It's so stupid. Anyway, the alarm goes off, and I reach over, and I'm like, I'm sleeping for another hour. So I slept till 12:30, but then I'm kind of surprised, because he usually is like, can you please turn that alarm off? Because the alarm literally went off like every hour. And I was having all these like crazy dreams. I was like, at one point in my dream, I was like staying in my cousin's old room, like at the house that she grew up in, that we would go stay at. And I was staying there, but I was like in college, I was like taking a class, and I was studying some book, and then I had to go to this college. That's where like I ended up going like ice skating or roller skating on the water or something. But like Caroline wasn't in my dream. It was just her room was in my dream, which was weird. I had just bizarre dreams last night. But then I woke up at like, finally I woke up at like 4:30. And, oh, Alex got up at one point, like right before I got up, and he went like use the restroom and came back to bed. And, like that woke me up. And then like Boo Radley and Tucker like stood up and went to the edge of the bed. Anytime Alex like gets up out of bed, like they like are like wondering what's going on. So they got up, and then I was like, I looked at Boo Radley because he was like laying on my chest, and I said, I want a half an hour more, Boo Radley. And he went and laid back down. And then I woke up, and I was like, this time I woke up, I was like this. I'm up. Like, I'm up, like right now. So, I don't know if I'll stay up. I feel like today is the day I want to get like I've got to get some kind of like sleep schedule like figured out. I know, like, whenever I say this, people are like, why do you go home and go back to sleep? If I could go home and go back to sleep, like, let's say, and get up at 9, and then, like, at 9, be up and be, like, rested, work through, get all my stuff done, and then, let's say, at, like, 5, take, like, an hour-long nap, and then Alex gets home, and then we can spend some time together. If I could get, like, on that schedule, like, that would be real good right now. But I like being up late at night, too, is the problem. I don't like to be up, like, this late at night is, like, crazy. But now what's happening is I'm sleeping, I'm getting up, like really early, like, between 5 and 6. Like, this has been, like, a couple days a week I'm doing this. And so then by 3 or 4, I start to crash. And then when I do go to bed later, like, I either stay up, like I said the other night, like, for 18 hours, or, does that make sense? Like, I'm not consistently going to bed at the same time. So I'm either, like, going to bed and staying up super, super late. I'm, like, craving a Coke right now. I don't know why. I don't know why a Coke is what I'm craving. But I'm either, like, staying up for super long hours, or, and I think that's what happened. I think it all caught up with me this weekend. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I looked at Alex at his aunt's house. I said, I feel like I took, like, cold medicine. Like, I don't take any of that stuff, you know? I mean, I said, I feel like I just, like I'm out of it. Like, I'm so tired. And they were so sweet, too. Like, they could really tell. Like, his mom, she knows, like, you know, like, I'm never like that. I'm always, like, you know, awake and, like, dancing around and, you know, having fun and everything like that. And she was like, I'm so sorry you're so tired. I was like, it's okay. But it was fun. We had a good time seeing them. Sebastian and Carlos are really into this show on YouTube. I don't know what it is, but they kept on, like, watching it and then, like, acting it out last night. It's like some kids YouTube show. I have no idea what it's called. Sebastian kept on saying it, and it was like something ninjas. I couldn't understand what he was saying. Like, not Ninja Turtles, but something like that. Like spy something. Oh, and we did have, like, his aunt made some kind of cake called drunk cake. And then, but I asked her, I said, does it have liquor in it? She said no. And, not that matters. Like, I'll eat food from time to time that has, like, has alcohol cooked into it, but only if it's, like, cooked into it, like, not if it's just, like, put on top. But then I said, and then she had, like, one of those, like, pumpkin rolls, you know, from the grocery store. Those are so good. Those pumpkin roll cakes. It feels so weird always being, like, up this early, like, when, like, you know, people are, like, going to work and school and all that kind of stuff. They made coffee for me. Like, his uncle and his grandma, Alex's uncle, his grandma, and I are the only coffee drinkers. Well, Alex he drank coffee when he first got there. I could go for a cup of coffee right now myself. A cup of coffee, or like a Coke or a Diet Coke or something. There are all these sounds I have that are associated with being up late at night and, like, driving late at night. Oh my Lord, the construction, and, like, driving late at night. You guys should see my mums I bought. Did I talk about this on here? That Melissa was selling mums for her dog rescue that I bought. These 2 mums. Oh my God, they're gorgeous. And they're like on either side of our like right when you get up to our like walkway. They're like on either side. They're like you step up, it's right there. They're huge. But yeah, I talked about this. They're like huge, they're like this big. I think I'm gonna get 2 like little Christmas trees for either side too. For like the Christmas season, because I kind of like how it frames the walkway up there. I was reading when I was trying to wake up, like I took the dogs outside and then I came inside and I was like trying to wake up a little bit. And I have slowly, I think I'm just on chapter 2, which is like 6 pages in, so it's not saying a whole lot. But I'm slowly reading those Lemony, is that how you pronounce it? Lemony Snicket books. Series of Unfortunate Events. Who is Lemony Snicket, really? Like, I was like, looking at it, I was like, is this like a real person? Like, that's not a real name. It's Shirley. And don't call me Shirley. But like that age group of books, like that middle grade, like elementary to middle grade books, like there's a lot of booktubers that read that stuff. Like it either really has to interest me right away, or it like I like can't even get into it at all. And I really kind of like them. Like I was like reading like up to the first chapter, and I was like, oh, this isn't bad at all. I like this. People are out running and biking this morning. I can remember when I would get up to go to school. So I was always a walker to go to school, like in elementary school. And then, well, in junior high, I rode the bus, or my mom took me, but I would say like 90% of the time my mom took me because I hated riding the bus. And then in high school, like I either rode with friends, or my mom took me, or I drove. I drove after my sophomore year. My junior and senior year, I drove to school, so. But I would walk to school, and it was like, okay, well, before I ever started, this is where, like, my dad is always like, no, you were, like, older when we got separated. I'm like, before I ever went into first grade, you guys were separated, because, so that would have been between 6 and 7, right? Because my parents and my dad, the guy has like this like crossover like backpack in front of him, which was kind of cool. Anyway, my dad came over to the house, and he like walked with me like one afternoon that like late summer. We like walked like the distance from the house to school that I was gonna go to, my elementary school, to see like how long it would take me to walk and what time I would have to leave in the morning to do that and stuff like that. And I can remember my parents were kind of like pretty insistent on me like being a walker. Like there were a lot of like kids in our street that like whose parents like always like drove them to school and stuff like that. And I remember my parents thinking like it was like good for me to be like a walker. Like I don't know why I remember that, but it was like a 1.5 mile walk to school. And I can remember in the winter time leaving, and it would be pitch black. I can remember sometimes like my mom would make me like cinnamon toast, and I would have it like in a paper towel, and I can remember eating it. I mean, I don't, like, it's crazy to me like how winter in Indianapolis doesn't get as cold as it used to. Like, I can remember, like, every single day walking to school, like, every single day going to school, and there being, like, you know, a foot of snow on the side of the yard or the road. And every day I had on, like, a snowsuit. Do you remember those, like, over your shoulder, like, snowsuits, you know? Snowsuit, moon boots, you know, those moon boot things you wear. Scarf, hat, and, like, big mittens, like, every day wearing that and walking to school. Like, it's so crazy to me when I think about that. And then I think about, like, I can remember getting to school and taking it all off, and you'd hang it, and it would just be like, you know, like, the snow would be melting off of it, you know, and then you'd have your clothes on underneath it. Do you remember that? Like, it's so funny to me when I look back on that. That we went through all of that. And it would be, like, pitch black the whole time that I'd be walking to school. It'd be like this, like dark outside. I think it's kind of interesting, too, that, like, a lot of parents at that time, like, let their kids, like, walk to school and stuff. I mean, that was kind of the era of kidnappings. Like, I mean, you heard a lot about, like, when we were in school, there was always, I remember, they had those hands. Do you guys remember this? That people could put in their windows. I always wanted us to have one, and my mom, she never wanted one. I don't know why, but she was like, we're on a cul-de-sac, it doesn't matter anyway. That's what she would always say, or something like that. I can't remember how she said it, but she was like, it doesn't matter. But you know what I'm talking about, where you would have, like, a hand in the window, and then the hand meant, like, it was like a paper sign that you could get. I don't know how I'm remembering this, but it meant, like, we're a safe home. So if somebody's, like, trying to get you or something, like, just come to our house. But anyway, I mean, there was always talk about, like, we had, like, safety talks at school about being kidnapped. So I look back on that and I think, well, I think it's crazy that people, like, let their kids, like, you know, just walk to school so much. I mean, if I was 6 or 7 at that time, you know, that was 78 or 79. Which were kind of like the years for all of that kind of stuff. But I definitely remember hearing about kidnappings and having, you know, people, like, we would talk about it in school, like, if you got kidnapped, what you should do. And, like, my dad and I had, like, code conversations that, like, if, like, I was kidnapped. And I mean, I don't know that, like, my friends talk to their kids about this today. Like, do we, like, think that kidnappings are, like, a thing that would ever happen today? I mean, I'm sure they could, you know, but, like, we don't really hear as much about it. But, like, as being as prevalent. But when I was growing up, like, my dad and I had, like, code that, like, I can remember he would tell me, like, these are the things that you, like, look for. Like, see if you can see a newspaper so you know what, like, city you're in or what state. You know, and there was, like, certain things I'd say, like, if I was, like, hurt or not, you know. Thank you. But I think that's interesting, you know, like, that parents didn't really have a problem with their kids walking to school and stuff. And, I mean, I can just remember, like, for a whole afternoon, we'd be, like, go sledding, you know, with a bunch of, I mean, my mom had no idea where I was for, like, 3 hours, just all of us kids. We just take our sleds and we go to this hill, you know, and then we were sledding. Or in the woods or whatever. We were pretty young when I look back on that. And my parents weren't negligent parents either, you know, like, they weren't, I mean, they just weren't at all. Yeah, it's kind of crazy when I look back on it that we were, like, we were outside, like, on our own a lot as kids. Who knows? it stopped. I didn't know anybody that was kidnapped. I don't think. Did I? Oh, my babysitter. Oh my God, I'm sitting here like saying that. My babysitter. That car is so loud. That was kidnapped at McDonald's. I was just talking about it the other day. How could I forget? But nobody like my age. You know, isn't it interesting though, like the things that like stand out to you that you remember like growing up? It's been so long that, but I'm almost kind of like hesitant to share this story on here, but like I can remember when I was like in junior high, and there was like this girl in our neighborhood. She was like one neighborhood over. She was in driver's ed. And I remember that the driver's ed car, it was like her and a teacher and another student. They were like killed between two semis. And I must have heard about it on the news or something. My mom must have been watching it. Because I can remember that it really freaked me out for a really, really long time. Like to this day, semis scare me, and I almost kind of wonder if it like is from that, you know? Like I remember what her first name is to this moment, and I never knew her, but I know she lived like one neighborhood up from us. Like she was like probably from my house that I grew up in. She was probably less than a 5-minute walk. Maybe some of the other kids in the neighborhood were talking about it or something, and that's how but I remember that like being a huge deal. Maybe she like babysat me one time. I don't think she did though. My mom maybe knew her family somehow. I don't know. There was some reason why like I knew something more about it. What is this watch event they're doing at Reese Nichols? I want a nice watch. The 18th through the 26th. But I can remember that happening. Why do you think it is that in the United States at least that like kidnappings like that stopped? I mean, not that they don't occur at all, but what I'm saying is, like, when I was younger, I remember it being like, do you guys remember, like, you'd see on TV all the time, like, these made-for-TV movies, like, I Know My First Name is Steven. It was, like, those kind of stories. Like, you'd hear kids being kidnapped all the time, you know? Like, there was a lot more, like, tragic stuff that really happened, like that Adam Walsh case. Well, now I know a lot about that because of the True Crime Book Club, that Otis guy that killed him, supposedly. But, there was like a lot of that kind of stuff that was going on that I feel like maybe people are safer with their kids now, or I hate saying that because then it makes it look like we weren't safer with our kids during that era, but like, it feels like it was just a lot more prevalent to me in looking back, you know? I remember, actually, Mela and I have talked about reading these books for the True Crime Book Club because I think there's more than one now. There's like 2 or 3. The J.C. Duggar books, I think. I read the first one. I think it's the first one I read, where she was kept in the garage, like in the back garage. Man, that story, if I'm getting the right story, that story was so crazy. And, she was kept there for years and years and years and had a kid and all kinds of stuff. Like, And there was something at the beginning of the book I remember where, like, her friend and her were, like, riding on bikes together. There was something like that. I wonder why my mind is thinking about this stuff this morning. Maybe I was dreaming about it. I just drove by Chuck E. Cheese and I was like, God, a slice of pizza sounds so good. What is going on with me? I really didn't eat a whole lot yesterday. And even sitting there on the couch, I had like just a couple bites of ice cream and like some hummus. Maybe I'll get something here in a second. It was a different era, you know, the late 70s into the early 80s. I can remember I had this babysitter on my street. You guys are like, you had a lot of babysitters. I did have a lot of babysitters. I liked having babysitters. I mean, I always had, like, babysitters that I liked. I had this girl on my street. She babysat a couple times. And then when this situation happened, my mom was like, enough. But then, well, I don't know if I've ever told this story on here. There was a bad situation. This is like when people were like, they commenting on my vlog, they're like, I've never heard the babysitter kidnapping story. I thought this is what they were talking about. Then I was like, I don't know that I've ever talked about it on here because I don't know all the details. Like, I would have to ask my dad more about it. But when we lived in my very first apartment, it was my dad's birthday, and they had like friends of theirs that lived in the neighborhood, and their teenage daughter babysat for me like that night. And when they came back, I don't even to this day know the whole story. Like, I would have been really young. I would have been like cradle young, like 2 or 3, and because we moved out of that house that apartment when I was 5, so I would have been like, whatever. But so they came home, and my dad and my mom could not get into the apartment, and my dad had to borrow somebody's ladder from next door to climb in. Like, all the doors were like locked and stuff. I don't even really remember how they suggested that they got out of the house or whatever, but they had locked me in to this apartment with candles burning. This girl and her boyfriends, like, it was like, my dad said something like it looked like they had been on like a bunch of drugs or something. Like, they had basically destroyed the apartment. I wasn't hurt at all, but I was like, you know, in my crib asleep upstairs with the doors closed, but there was like all these candles burning. They had like smashed the birthday cake and like thrown it all around, because like they were supposed to come back and have like birthday cake at the house after dinner with like this other couple that they were with or whatever. And they'd like smashed this like cake and like thrown it all around the apartment. The apartment was a mess. They had left me in there. Like, my dad was like scared to death, like, and all this kind of stuff. And glasses were like broken on the floor, and it just was like this horrible thing that happened. But I always had like babysitters. Like, you know, my mom, I think, being a single mom, it was like hard for her. When I was with my dad, I didn't really. My cousin Caroline, actually. So when she was, it would have been her first summer driving. So it would have probably, when she was a sophomore, that whole summer, like, I stayed with my dad for a month. And since he obviously couldn't take a month off, she just kind of like hung out there with me. She was kind of like my babysitter / I don't know what, but we just had fun. We went to, like, when he would work late, we would go to Benihana. And we watched the movie About Last Night like 1,000 times that summer. And every day when she would come out there, she would, Caroline was never heavy, but she had lost a bunch of weight, and her diet was 1 Ding Dong, 1 Diet Coke, And she knew every word to Janet Jackson's Control album, and I thought she was the coolest thing in the entire world. But anyway, she had that feathered hair, you know, that went back like this. We had so much fun that summer together. But at my mom's, I had several babysitters. When my mom was getting her master's degree, I had one babysitter who was like in the school, like, so our like high school had these like this, you know, like the top choir. She was like in that choir, and she was like a really good girl, and my mom loved her whole family. And I feel like she came to my mom's funeral. I don't know why. But she was my babysitter for like an entire summer or two. And she was fantastic. And I loved her. And we like went everywhere. We went to like McDonald's and we would play games. And she just was like, I mean, she like cleaned our house, and she was a great babysitter. She like loved my mom. She like loved my mom, loved her. She was just like really, she was there like 5 days a week. So my mom was getting her master's degree. But then I had like other babysitters that would just come like for the night or whatever. And this one babysitter on our street, I remember her because I can see her in my head. I remember her name was Teresa. And she was like very like 70s sexy, you know, like long dark hair, like, you know, like long dark hair, kind of like Charlie's Angels-ish, you know. And I don't even know really why it was such a big deal, but like she had asked my mom something like, could her boyfriend come over and just stop by? And my mom was like, yeah, I guess, or something. I think my mom like had to like get rid of her because like the neighbor said something about it. But like she stopped, like her boyfriend stopped by with a friend, like it was two guys, and they like took a beer of my mom's like out of the fridge, and they were like sharing a beer, and they were smoking a cigarette on the front porch, just sitting like on the front porch. And it was like 6 o'clock on a Saturday. And so like everybody in the neighborhood saw her like out there with her boyfriend, like smoking a cigarette, drinking a beer. And that was like it. It was like, I mean, she was like the worst person in the neighborhood. I can remember that was kind of like, my mom was like, I don't know how I remember it like this, but I can remember my mom being like, I don't really want to deal with this, but like I have to deal with this kind of thing, you know, like she felt bad. And I can remember like the girl came to her, I don't know how I remember this part of it, but like my mom was like, you know, I'm gonna have to like ask you not to baby. She was just kind of like, okay, whatever, like I could care less, you know, like she wasn't really in it. I don't think her heart was in it. My old roommate, God love her, the one that lives in Berlin now, when she and I moved in together, the first night that we met, let me just put this in perspective, two good alcoholics. Well, she's not an alcoholic, but we drank alcoholically back then, obviously. First night that we met, she moves in with me the next day, you know. So she was a nanny when I met her, and she like didn't go to her, she like called in sick or something, and then like the next day she like was like late, and they like fired her on the spot. She'd been like a nanny for these people for like 2.5, 3 years, and they like literally like fired her on the spot, and the wife looked at her and said, I just don't think your heart's in the job anymore. Nope, it wasn't. We were having too good of a time. Oh, now my friends that have babysitters today, it's like, they go through these services where like, you have to register online, and like these one friends of ours, well, their girls are older now. Their girls are like, I think their one daughter is a senior, and their other daughter is like probably senior in high school, and the other daughter is like in college. And, but when their daughters were younger, they used some service where like the girl was like a med student, and like they paid her straight through the service, and it was like expensive. It was like $20 an hour. I'm like, oh my God, that's expensive babysitter stuff, you know? Expensive babysitter stuff. It was a different time. It's so funny, like, when I think back on, like, how, like, long ago that was, right? And then, like, I see shows, like, it doesn't seem like that long ago to me. And then I see shows or movies that, like, are from that era, and they look so dated to me. But I'll tell you what really did it to me was when I was watching, like, Stranger Things, which was, like, that was the generation that I grew up in, right? And I was watching Stranger Things, and I'm like, this is so weird to me that, like, this seems so old-fashioned, and yet this is the generation that I grew up in. Like, it's crazy, you know? What is this? I think it was when they were all, like, my contact is driving me nuts, and the only, like, contact solution I have, these re-wetting drops, are, like, empty. I think it was when they, all had on the Ghostbusters outfits that I was like, oh my God, that cracks me up. I think I might have been like I'm supposed to maybe be a couple years ahead of where they're at on the show. Like if they're in like if they were like in junior high when it started, I think I was like maybe like in early high school. I don't know. Found my nail clippers, but I can't find any. That stuff. Before you know it, it's gonna be Christmas. 3 months from today, it will be, what is today's date? Oh my God, 3 months from today will be the first, is today the first day of fall? Yeah, today's the first day of fall, isn't it? Or is it tomorrow? Gosh, that's crazy. You know, I think to some degree too, like this is gonna sound crazy because people will be like, well, why would you want that? But I think, you know, like when I grew up, we always had like the neighborhood person that you were scared of, or you always had these like urban legends around the neighborhood. You know, it was like, I don't feel like we grow up with that anymore. You know, we grow up with a very educated, informed society, and so it's like there's no room for like mystery or folklore in your own town, whereas like I think all of that kind of like led to this mysteriousness of our lives, you know, like not, and maybe not in a good way sometimes, you know, obviously kidnappings and all those things are horribly tragic, but you know what I mean, like just like I was thinking about this the other day, like, oh, I think it was last night when the fire engines were going by. Was that when I was talking on the phone to somebody, or was I vlogging? When the fire engines were going by me. It was like a fire engine, and I think I was vlogging. But anyway, like when I was in high school, we went to go visit our friend in southern Indiana, and she, like her whole little town square caught on fire. You know, like I knew people, like when I was growing up, whose like houses would catch on fire and stuff. Like you don't really hear about that anymore. You know? Do you think? Like these things that like used to be like these huge tragedies of yesteryear, like we don't really hear a whole lot like of those kinds of things anymore today. Knock on wood. That's thankfully so. It was funny when I was getting my mums yesterday, I said to Melissa something about like, I go, well, they're not even blooming yet. And she said, well, they're not really supposed to. She's like, because you want them to last all the way through Halloween. And so when I was like driving home, I was like, oh, that's at least, yeah, they'll open and then they'll be nice, you know, and big for Halloween. And I thought, God, we're like 6 weeks away from Halloween. Like, it's crazy that we're so close, you know? You guys, listen, I think I'm going to actually get off here and listen to a little bit of my audiobook and then go home and sleep for another 2 hours and then try to get up on a schedule today. Fingers crossed. So I'm gonna get off here now. I'm gonna do another short outro. I'll do my long, I'm gonna go back and forth so you guys will never know, and then it'll be a surprise. And then those of you that like the long outro will get it some days, and those of you that don't won't. So anyway, I'm gonna get off here now. But I will say, if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And make sure that you look at yourself in the mirror every single day and tell yourself, I love you, and at least one positive affirmation, like you are valuable. I hope you guys are having an amazing Monday, an amazing start to your week. We're entering this scary, mysterious season of fall, and I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!